Did you know that your dad was like a little connected?
I was all over it, believe me. My ear was to the, oh, God, yeah. I wanted to know everything about it.
So when did you sort of start getting in the mix a little bit?
There was a big marijuana smuggler in the region that used to have a fish company down the South Shore. We used to go down there, and that's where he would pick up his truckloads. My father had a barn up in Marlboro, and that's where that would go. Father had a couple of losers, Nicky and this guy Richie. I think that they were all geeked out, on the shit. They're driving around, they lost the directions, they couldn't find this place, but they knew where I lived, in Littleton. So they come with a U-Haul truck, come to my house, all weirded out, and Johnny, where's your father? And I'm like, he's not home. Oh, you gotta open up the garage, we gotta unload. They unload a truckload of marijuana. So much marijuana that my father wouldn't notice if I filled up a little trash bag, which I did, okay? I'm like a good 4 or 5 pounds of pot.
Yeah.
Okay? I call up my friend Doug. I says, Doug, come get me. Okay, get in the car, go to this place we used to hang out called Skull Rock. I think I'm the biggest guy in the world, man. I'm thinking hanging out ounces to my buddies and stuff. And, a couple of my friends going down, hanging out behind Little Peach like we used to do and smoke pot. Who comes around? Officer Casey. Rounds up all the kids.
Everybody's got an ounce.
Officer Day, get over here. Where'd you get all this stuff, you kids? Where'd you get all this stuff? We're going to tell your parents, John Green. Now,
no.
my father's out on parole. Like, in other words, they didn't tell him how long he was going to be on parole. Back in those days, they could do that. So now the cops, I was questioning these kids. My friend John Green, he has this big bag of it. He stashed it out by Skull Rock in the woods. But they all did, running around, a couple of cops, they find it. Big bag of pot. They come to my house. Now my father knows, he's back home now. I'm home again. Knows that the pot's in the garage. He's fucking fuming because these 2 retards drop it off at the house. So now we get a knock at the door. It's the cops. My father's like, oh, I'm going to jail. I'm going back to prison. And I'm going to go for a long time.
Did you tell him what was going on, or you didn't know what was happening?
No. So they come to the house, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
And he still has all the...
I didn't know either what was going on.
Does he still have the 1,000 pounds?
You were in the garage still.
Oh,
so now,
Jesus.
So now, right? My father comes to the door. He's like, what's up? They're like, we're looking. We have a large quantity of marijuana that we was told belonged to your son, John. And my father's like looking at the bag they have it, and my father's like, my kid's in the 8th grade, They already know my father, trust me. A few years before, the feds had come to my town, the police, and says, we're surveilling a big major drug dealer here. We're just letting you know that we're gonna be sitting in a car somewhere in case your guys see our guys, you know what I mean? We're just gonna give you a heads up that we're in your town, following Al Capone, right? Or whoever that's how they were treating the situation like. They were well aware of who my father was and what my father did. They probably already concluded in their minds that the pot probably came from my father. So they were kind of like a small-time cops that kind of like thought that my father was probably a lot bigger than he was or whatever. So they were pretty, careful around him. And he says, yeah, they said, we just want to get to the bottom of the story. Can we have him come down to the station? Sure. Can I drive him? Yes. So I'm in the car with my father. You little motherfucker, you.
He must have wanted to strangle you.
Fuck. He says, John, okay. My father thought real quick. There was a I don't know what they were, a crew of people that lived up the street, and they were kind of like a biker kind of crew.
Yeah. Okay,
and they were always having live music in the yard in the summer, and a big bash going on, and they were all pot smoking, the whole deal. My father says, John, listen carefully. Your life depends on him. My life depends on it. Anyways, he says, you're gonna say when you go in there, I want you to tell them that you were in the backyard. They had a shed. You went in the shed, and you just happened to stumble across a barrel, and it had the pot in it. That's what you're gonna stick with that story. Keep it simple. You found the pot in a barrel inside the shed of those people down there. I went with that story. Meanwhile, while I'm getting interviewed, my father, you get the fuck back to my house and get that shit out of my house. The interview with me went okay. My father got out of that. We got out of it. I got smacked. But of course, my father came back later on, took the blame. I shouldn't have had this around. This is my fault.